Adam Fennessy, thank you for joining us on the IPAA 2019 Annual Forum podcast series.
Thank you, and I'm very excited to be here.
Adam, thank you. And tell us a bit about this session that you've just come from. This really, it ties in very well with your history of public purpose, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so. And I had spent 20 years in the public sector, particularly in Victoria and in the Commonwealth Government, and now I've been in consulting for 2 years. So I've seen it from both sides. And what I have found and what we discussed today is that you do get so much more when you open things up and bring in other voices, other perspectives. That's the benefit of diversity. But in a professional sense, when you have public servants working alongside not-for-profits, community groups, corporates, consultants, you do get a diversity of view if you can design it in the right way and always think we're here for the community and we're spending taxpayers' dollars, then you can get amazing outcomes. So that was the real theme today. And what was great about the panel is we had someone with deep not-for-profit experience in Karen. We had Lisa with her perspective from the corporate and governance perspective. And what I was trying to do is bring both perspectives. I've been a public servant and I still feel very committed and passionate and talk like a public servant. And now I'm actually working in a consulting firm where we work with. So that's what we were hoping to get out of today, and I thought the discussion went really well.
It's a pretty amazing perspective to be able to kind of come from all of those different environments. And do you think that actually was highlighted today, that you can cross over these boundaries, that there's no dark side, dare I say, or that we can all kind of work together on this?
I think so, and I hope so. And one thing I remind myself, and I often will talk about, is that ultimately we're all people. We're all motivated by purpose. When we talk about the community, we're part of the community. When we talk about making a difference to people who are disadvantaged or improving our environment or, fixing up our traffic so we can get home quicker, we're both public policy makers and we're citizens. So I like to think, well, we're all people, and where the best partnerships I see work well, and this is the private and the public partnerships coming together, is where we think, well, what are we trying to do here? What's the purpose we're trying to achieve? That's motivating. And frankly, having a profit driver if you're a corporate, or keeping your minister safe and happy, at the end of the day, they're not as motivating as making a difference to communities. And the other thing I particularly love about what we talked about today is Queensland does present a unique proposition in that it's, here in Queensland, we're a very distributed state. We've got lots of major regional cities. We've got a really big and interesting southeast Queensland. There's a lot of challenge, growth, environment, mining, all sorts of, a bit of everything, and a government that's really committed to innovation and community. So in all of that, it's an exciting place to be in public sector or in the public purpose.
And good
space.
to have those regions involved in the discussion today too.
Yeah, I thought it was great that there was that live streaming. And before I moved to Queensland, because I'm a proud Brisbaneite now, I was in Victorian government, and I was the only Director General or Secretary who was not based in Melbourne. I lived in Bendigo, I worked out of Bendigo, and that put me closer to regional communities, and it's very down to earth, and people will tell you really quickly if they think you're doing a good job or not, and that's great. And your own staff will do the same.
Pretty refreshing. Very refreshing.
They cut straight to the point, and particularly I did a lot of work in environment and planning. Everyone had an opinion and a view about that in regional parts of, in that case, Victoria.
Reminds me of my days as a journalist in the country, I think. So what do you think, Adam, would be the important things for the sector to take home today, and for professional service firms as well, to take on board really for delivering some of these important public purpose programs?
Well, one of the really good conclusions that we reached at the end of our panel session is do the upfront work. You've got to develop your relationships with your private partners, your not-for-profits. You've got to spend time to trust each other. So trust is very important. And secondly, the ability to get a good outcome it's so much greater at the start of the process, particularly if you're going to engage consultants before you sign contracts. Work out what you really want to do and think about the purpose drivers, not just the contract. Contracts are very boring, but we're here to improve this community, or we're here to improve that landscape. That's motivating. So the upfront discussions in partnerships are critical, and you get so much more exciting innovation from the diversity of who's in your team. So the other message is that the public sector talks a lot more these days about public purpose, which is that broader network of people all working together to get stuff happening that's going to be good for us.
And that collaboration is actually really crucial. It might be time consuming, but it's worth it for the end result.
Yep, and people often say to me, it just takes a lot longer to make all those phone calls before the meeting or talk to people and listen about their ideas. Yes, it takes longer and it's critical. And the art of listening is often a forgotten art. If you listen properly, particularly in the early days of a partnership, then you really learn what you're there to do, and you get a better outcome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again, Adam. Is there one final aspect that you'd like people to remember from our podcast series today?
Well, yes, there is actually. When I was in Victoria, I was on the board of IPAA Victoria. IPAA Queensland plays such a critical role for the health and the strength and the excitement of the public sector here in Queensland. So I really want to encourage people to get along to IPAA Queensland events. I'm a big fan of IPAA. You meet interesting people, you get great conversations, you get great perspectives. So in terms of IPAA Queensland, I want to thank them for the opportunity to be part of this today, and I want to encourage our listeners and your listeners to get along to IPAA events, network, meet other people, get excited.
Be part of that supportive network.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the
Adam.
opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.